Welcome to Healing Horizons with Saima. Today we are joined by the perceptive and the deeply insightful Gabriela Popescu, a voice dedicated to helping people navigate their inner world with more honesty, clarity, and grounded awareness. In an age where noise is constant and movement feels mandatory, stillness can feel almost threatening, yet it holds the very medicine we keep searching for. Together, we'll unpack why being still is so difficult for the modern mind and why learning to sit with yourself might be the most transformative choice you can make. So, Gabriela, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I love the topic and I love what you're doing with your podcast. Really excited to be here.
Warmly welcome. It's very honored to have you here. So, Gabriela, let's start with why do you think stillness triggers discomfort or even anxiety in so many people today?
Well, I think if you look at how society is built right now, there's this constant demand to be on and to be available. Technology is awesome. It has a lot of advantages, but it also has disadvantages because it created this cycle of an expectation of always being available, right? If you don't respond within 30 minutes, you get another message and say, "Hey, did you read this? Can you let me know?" type of thing. And I think that is a huge disadvantage to us. And, compounding it with the fact that we are taught from an early age that if we are producing and if we are productive members of society, then our value increases and then we are worth something. Between the two, it's no wonder that we are suffering from, attention deficit disorder when it comes to being able to be still and just be. The constant need of needing to react is has kind of brainwashed us as a society, and I think it's good to reflect on whether or not the thing that you need to respond is truly important, because 9 times out of 10 you'll notice that it is not.
Yes, that makes sense. Absolutely. And I think your perspective helps normalize that reaction and reminds people that there's nothing wrong with them for feeling uneasy and it's just part of being human. Yes, I agree with you. Now, if this discomfort rooted more in our conditioning or in deeper emotional avoidance?
I think it's a combination of both, and I think you know generally the blocks that people deal with later in life stem from 6 to 7 limiting beliefs. One of them being, I'm not worthy. If I'm not producing, it means that I don't mean anything. And I think that's really the root cause of disconnection and constantly wanting to do something to be productive, instead of coming back within and into stillness and just allowing, the universe, the spirit, source, whatever you want to call it, come through and just help you recharge and settle and really take stock of what is important to you, what matters, and also just helping you rebalance, reharmonize for the day ahead.
That makes sense. Yes. And like you said, firstly, thank you for sharing that, Gabriela. And I really like how you describe it, like you said, as a blend, as a combination of conditioning and emotional avoidance. And also how you bring in the idea of letting spirit or the universe support that balance. It really grounds the whole concept in something both practical and intuitive, I think. Now, building on that, you often talk about the modern nervous system being overstimulated. So, can you share that how does constant stimulation make stillness feel unsafe?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, we are every second of every day, we are either targeted for stimuli, either from, social media, your phone, news, your workplace, even, family. Uh, not that they do it intentionally, but it happens. And that creates that puts the body in a fight or flight and state of constant agitation and just like being on edge. And that is something that we get to set some boundaries around, and putting boundaries and teaching people how to interact with you and how to win with you supports everyone, not just you, but it supports how people could best win with you. And I know that in different cultures, boundaries are inexistent, right? Like for me, I was born in Romania, and setting boundaries with parents or with people in position of authority, like teachers, etc., that was unheard of, and that was not something you did. You prioritize authority always. And when I came to the U.S., I learned about boundaries and I started applying them, and it was quite the journey with my mom. A- And, it was a little clumsy in the beginning, and then it evolved into a deepening into our relationship and an intimacy that we did not have before. So, all that to say that it is okay to decide that I will not respond to messages after a certain time. And I will not look at my phone before 8 a.m. in the morning, or whatever that works for you, whatever that parameter is for you. And teaching and educating people that you need that space to set up your day and to set up your your whole body, all the four bodies, just to allow yourself to be in stillness so that you could really be in your element and be at 100% of who you could be for your community, family, etc.
I really like the way you framed it, Gabriela. Like, especially that part about creating clear boundaries, like you said, and like choosing not to look at our phone during certain moments. It's such a simple example, but it really shows that, how reclaiming small pockets of space can help the nervous system relearn what safety feels like, I feel. And it also highlights that how much agency we actually have, even in a world that constantly demands attention. Now, as we are talking about this, I'd love to explore one more piece. Is that specific moment or sign when someone should recognize they are crossing into overwhelm?
Yes. That there's many early signs. Some signs can be self-isolation. You're not finding joy in anything, and you are stuck in, doing the task at hand without having any satisfaction or joy from your overall purpose and path. Those are some early signs. Also, not being able to sleep well. Um, yeah, and just like the constant overthinking. That's another big one.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. That makes sense. Yes, and I agree with that. I completely agree with that. Like you several said about self isolation, the way you describe, like you said about self isolation and disrupted sleep as signs of overwhelm, really brings the experience into something people can clearly recognize. And it's really important to name those early markers because, like, so many of us tend to push through them without even realizing our nervous system is already sending signals that we need support. And I appreciate how gently and honestly you framed that, Gabriella.
Absolutely. Yeah, and one more very simple sign, but we don't recognize it often. It's not taking deep breaths. Like we hold our breath when we're under stress, and that has a negative impact on the physical body and your all four bodies. We forget to breathe deeply. And so, when we're in a state of stress, we just hold our breath, and we do take shallow breaths. And yeah, that's another big one.
Yes, yes. Thank you for shedding light into this. I too experience this. Thank you. Now, Many people think of stillness as inactivity. So, how do you reframe it so they see its strength rather than its slowness?
Mhm. Yeah. For a long time, I thought that being still was being lazy. And I think a lot of people could connect to that and relate to that. And I'm here to tell you that it's not. Because when we take the time, even if it's 5 minutes a day, to just sit and be with ourselves and reset, it allows for ideas to come in. It allows for creativity to come in. Obviously, that's not the end goal. However, there is a lot of power into choosing to practice stillness for 5, 10 minutes a day. The whole idea or philosophy of doing, it stifles creativity, and it also, in the long run, you're really not that productive. It has quite the opposite effect. So taking the time, 5, 10 minutes once a day, and then building up to doing twice a day, it's actually going to increase and improve the quality of your work, whether it's creative or whatever your work may be. It doesn't matter. It doesn't necessarily have to be creative.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I agree with that too. Uh, and like I said, that your own shift from seeing stillness as laziness to recognizing it as a space where like ideas can actually rise is such a relatable transformation, I must say. It really reframes stillness like, you know, as something active or nourishing rather than passive or unproductive. And I think a lot of people will connect with that perspective because it gives permission to slow down without guilt, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, and you could have active stillness if you want. Like you could have a walking meditation where you're, walking in nature. You do not take your phone with you, not listening to any podcasts or music or anything like that, and then just connecting with the elements. That could also be a form of stillness.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'm curious, with that understanding in mind, Gabriela, so have you seen someone's life shift dramatically just from developing a stillness practice?
Mhm. Yes, absolutely. Some of my clients have become a lot more happy with their day to day just by practicing stillness. And also, they've seen an increase in their creative projects and just how powerful that was in creating strategic projects or just having having that space. It really opened them up to more possibilities and also further their work along much quicker than when they were just going. And now incorporating stillness, it really created a big shift.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's remarkable, Gabriela.
Mhm.
And I would say that's really powerful, honestly, hearing that your clients experience such a noticeable rise in their creative flow just by, embracing stillness says a lot about how much we underestimate its impact. And it shows that when people give themselves that space, their ideas aren't just clearer, like you said, they're more inspired and more aligned and like often more abundant. It's really a great reminder that slowing down can actually accelerate the things that really matter. Yes. Now, and it makes me think about, about the bigger picture too. There's a cultural belief that productivity equals worth. So, how does this mindset interfere with our ability to be still?
That's a great question. Thank you for asking it. Again, I mean, the reason for my work and how my work got started was because I was going through those limiting beliefs and outdated belief systems. You know, Overall, as a society, we're taught that productivity equals worth, and that can be more wrong. We are worthy with or without productivity, and we are perfect the way we are. We don't need to constantly produce. We don't need to produce, period. how there's a lot of value of having people that are aligned with the four bodies and able to support themselves and their communities. And you could absolutely, yes, produce, but when when I think of the concept of producing, I'm thinking of, a factory producing. We're just like cogs in a system, and that's not true. Each of us have a purpose and a path on this planet, and it is so important to, you know, stop and smell the roses, right? Productivity, I think it's something that benefits the matrix, the system, and not so much the individual. And when you allow for the space, for the stillness to really settle, you create an opportunity, like you said, for abundance of creativity, for abundance of resources, for abundance of connections. There's a beauty in the stillness, and it's incredibly powerful.
Mm-hmm. Firstly, thank you for expressing that so beautifully, Gabriela. And the way you remind us that our worth isn't tied to our output is such a grounding truth, I must say, especially in a culture that, you know, sorry, pushes constant doing. And I really love how you brought in the idea of slowing down to smell the roses, like you said. Because it captures the heart of why stillness matters so beautifully. And again, it's a gentle reminder that our values is inherited, and that stepping back doesn't diminish our path, and it actually lets us experience it more fully. And you have explained that so beautifully. Now, with that in mind, I'd love to explore something connected to this. Like, do you believe this productivity pressure is self driven, or does it come from the systems around us?
I think it's a combination of both. Um, when I started on my path of self-love, I had to unlearn a lot of ancestral and familial patterns and behaviors because it's in no one's benefit. I mean, it's in no one's benefit on the societal level to teach people how to love themselves. Because if you empower people into loving themselves at 100%, and then they're empowered to do everything, right? And so I think there is something to say around this concept of productivity. It benefits the system, it benefits the corporations, and it does not benefit the individual. So by stepping on a journey of self-love and filling your cup first, like using stillness to bring harmony to yourself inside, then that will reverberate outside into your external reality, and it would allow you to create the life that you're meant to live.
That's really remarkable, Gabriela. And I really love the way you describe that balance actually, like how both our inner beliefs and the systems around us shape this, pressure to constantly produce, and the way you tied back to like self-love and stillness is so grounding. It's a beautiful reminder that when we choose that inner journey, life has more room to open up rather than close in, like you said, and you express that in such a gentle, empowering way, Gabriela. Now, I'd love to go a little deeper. Like for someone who feels restless, distracted, or emotionally crowded, how can they begin embracing stillness without it feeling impossible?
Mm. Sure. Well, grounding is a great way to do that, and you don't have to have your bare feet on the earth. You just have to connect and set your intention that you are connecting with the earth. See two grounding cords going into the earth. Uh, and then just with each breath, with each exhale that you take, releasing what no longer serves you. And then with each inhale, inhaling the grounding energy of Mother Gaia, of the earth, and allowing for that exchange and flow of energy to take place. That's the simplest way to do that. Uh, and then another way that you could do that is simply by sitting down and trying to connect with your body. Let's say someone's experiencing pain or they have a headache or anything like that. Asking the ailment or whatever's going on, asking like, what is it? What do you need? Is it that I need hydration, or is there an issue that is coming up that it's manifesting into my body? And then getting curious and asking questions, and if you are called to, journal or do a video journal, whatever resonates with you, but expressing whatever is happening and then letting it go. Those are some very simple ways where we can bring bring ourselves back to ourselves and connect and allow for stillness to take place.
Absolutely. I really love the way you simplify grounding actually. And the reminder that it doesn't have to look like standing barefoot on the earth, like you said, and like that it can be as simple as reconnecting with our own body makes the whole idea of stillness feel so much more approachable. And the way you describe it takes the pressure off and shows people that they don't need perfect conditions to begin. They just need a moment of presence. It's really an encouraging way to make stillness feel possible, even for someone who feels overwhelmed or scattered.
Absolutely. And then also a third way would be just to engage in whatever breath work resonates for you. There's so many. There's, the Kundalini breath of fire. There's the alternative nostril breathing. There's Wim Hof breath work. And all of these methodologies are free and they're always available on YouTube if you're not sure how to do them. So even if just connecting with your breath for 2 to 5 minutes, and that's another way to bring yourself into stillness very quickly.
Those steps are really accessible, I would say. Now, what's one simple practice someone can implement tonight, to make stillness feel less intimidating?
Sure. It's turning off all your devices and choosing to do that 30 minutes to an hour before you go to bed. And then practicing a simple gratitude uh, exercise, thinking of three things that you're grateful for, like the roof over your head, the food in your belly, your loved ones, whatever it is, and just expanding that emotion, just really feeling it in your heart and let it reverberate through every cell in your body. It's an extremely powerful way to connect with yourself, connect with your heart, and close the day in a very beautiful way.
I really like how approachable you make that practice, Gabriela. And the way you frame gratitude, just naming three things we are grateful for feels so simple yet genuinely powerful. I feel that it takes something that could feel intimidating and turns it into a gentle invitation back to ourselves. You have really a beautiful way of reminding people that stillness doesn't have to be complicated or ceremonial, I would say. It can start the quiet moment of appreciation, and it's really a lovely grounding suggestion that anyone can try tonight.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the breath work. Two for one.
Yes, absolutely. So, today's conversation with Gabriela reminded us that stillness isn't that absence of life, it's a space that allows life to make sense. So, if you have been running an autopilot or avoiding your inner peace, inner voice, let this be your invitation to pause. Even a few quiet minutes can open doors your business has kept closed. So, choose stillness even when it feels uncomfortable, especially then.